Hey everyone, this is Daniel from Phone Arena with a video review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. It transitions the Note family feel from the I'm with Dork feeling of the original Note to this here oversized Galaxy S3 with stylus impression. It also ups the ante with a much more ergonomic S Pen design, much thicker, longer and easier to hold with a more comfortable button. It also has a thinner, narrower body than the original Note, die-shrunk quad-core processor and 2GB of RAM. A 5.5-incher doesn't bat an eye these days, and it's not only Samsung with the first Note to blame. People have been increasingly game with sacrificing pocket and in-hand comfort for having an ever-increasing window to the world, what a smartphone screen has become these days. Despite the larger screen, the Note 2 is about the same weight as its predecessor, but it's not as wide, making it a tad less unwieldy in the hand. It is still a giant messy thing to deal with, especially if you have smaller hands, but has been slimmed down a bit and received the gradual curves and rounded corners of the Galaxy S3, meaning that it's a bit more comfortable to handle than the Note. The chassis build material is the same polycarbonate plastic used for the S3 with gradient colors in the non-white version, and the only gripe about it is that it's a bit slippery to hold. A slightly textured surface might have been a better choice here, like on the original Note. We don't have a unibody design, just the good old paper-thin battery cover right off from here, under which you find a microSD and microSIM slots, as well as a removable battery, so the Note 2 earns starting points for expandability right there. The first thing you notice when you take the Note 2 in your hands is that juggernaut of a screen that Samsung has managed to fit in a more compact body than the Note. It occupies almost the entire front with a significantly slimmer bezel underneath where the home key is. The bottom bezel is thinner than not only on the Note but also on the Galaxy S3. The volume rocker here on the left and the power lock key on the right are easy to find and press with good tactile feedback, as well as the home key underneath the display here. The biggest news with the Note 2's 5.5-inch 16:9 ratio screen, it's not just that it is the largest ever put in a phone, but that it is the best AMOLED display Samsung has ever produced. It's listed as an HD Super AMOLED display, which should mean a pentile mixed pixel matrix arrangement, but it's not. It actually has 3 subpixels per pixel, not arranged in an RGB stripe manner, a bit differently, but now we have the typical red, green, blue subpixels per pixel, so we have much more subpixel density than on the original Note. Although the resolution is lower than on the Note, we have 1280 by 720 here, whereas on the original Note we had 1280 by 800 pixels. More important than the pentile versus RGB argument is the fact that the screen is also much brighter now and might easily be the brightest AMOLED on a Samsung device yet, which coupled with the low screen reflectance makes for an excellent outdoor visibility, and the automatic brightness adjustment works like a charm outside. Other than those, you have the usual very wide viewing angles, extreme contrast and saturated colors you would with other Super AMOLED displays, making the phone the best handset out there for enjoying video with this screen size and also for web browsing. The stylus sits very tight in the silo, almost too much so, making you put an effort while whipping it out. In a brand new handset like this one here, it probably needs to be worn in with time. The Note 2 makes a beeping noise and flashes a warning when you walk away from the desk and the stylus has not been inserted back in the silo. Since the S Pen is longer and way thicker now, it feels much more ergonomic in the hand, and the button at the bottom is larger and easier to press compared to the original Note. The stylus on the Note 2 feels more solid, better than the thin bendy unit on its predecessor. It also has learned some new tricks. For example, when you're calling someone and you need to jot down a quick note, you just whip out the stylus and you can just write an address or whatever trivia you need to do while on the call. Pretty handy. The Note 2 comes with the latest 4.1 Android Jelly Bean, which we'd argue takes Android to a whole new level compared to Ice Cream Sandwich, the previous one. We have here the excellent Google Voice natural language recognition service. Weather in New York. The best thing about the Note 2 Silicon is that it will be the same quad-core Endeavour everywhere, not replaced with the Snapdragon S4 for LTE reasons in the US, for example. What we get is the same excellent Exynos 4412, which powers the international Galaxy S3 without a hitch, but even more powerful as the cores here are clocked at 1.6 GHz maximum now, as opposed to 1.4 in the Galaxy S3. In short, in terms of processing power, what we have on the Note 2 is the best Android can offer before the S4 Pro phones like the Optimus G arrive, so the handset is pretty future-proof in that regard. We have the respectable 2 GB of RAM on the handset as well, and the basic Note 2 version with 16 GB of internal memory has about 10 gigs of them user available. And internal memory can also be expanded via microSD slot. There are also 32 GB and 64 GB versions announced. As you can see, pretty respectable quadrant score, 5,871. We scored right out of the box with the Galaxy Note 2. Starting with the improvements from what we already had in the first Note, we now have some extra templates to choose from in the S Note app. The suggested apps for your S Pen stylus pop up here in the notification bar when you take it out of the silo. As you can see, we have some extra templates now to choose from. And the ink itself flows much more naturally, much faster. There's absolutely no lag. We have the air view here, which labels the buttons, so you can easily know what the button will do when you press it. We have the productivity tools here, like on the original Note. For example, formulas. You can write a formula and search. It will connect to Wolfram Alpha, and you can tell the result to appear in this pop-up browser here. Very handy. You can also choose to draw shapes, and this here shape match will give them a more suitable for sending form than what you can scribble yourself. And of course we have handwriting recognition. Very easy, very fast. Works like a charm each time. If you thought the browser on the Galaxy S3 has been optimized, wait till you see what Samsung has done with the one on Jelly Bean. It is fast, fluid, with no hiccups, a joy to use with this large display. Unfortunately, there's no Adobe Flash support in Jelly Bean, so you have to make do with this browser or sideload something like the latest Android ICS browser APK. Text reflow works like a charm. Everything is very fast and fluid. And the S Pen has a new functionality now that allows you to outline and cut out anything that's on the screen, and then use it, send it in an email, in a message, through Samsung's messaging service as well. Very handy to annotate something. Don't mind my ugly handwriting. I've forgotten to write with a pen compared to typing on a keyboard. The Nature UX music player supports categorization by playlists, albums, artists, and so on. And we also have the Music Square tab, which places your discography in a mood matrix to choose from. The video player pretty much plays everything you throw at it with this nice minimalistic interface. You can see how powerful the loudspeaker is. You can hear it actually. You can take a screenshot The handset supports Full HD 1080p videos, including in DivX Xvideo formats right out of the box. You can do chapter preview, pretty handy. You can trim the video at these predefined moments very easily, like that. You can give a contextual title and of course choose the color tone of your screen for the video, warm, cold or normal. Pretty versatile default video player we have on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. We tested the battery in video playback mode and it lasted about 40% more than the one on the Galaxy S3. So we might have a winner on our hands, which will make about 14-hour video playback. The same category the Razer Max is in right now. We have an 8-megapixel shooter on the back of the Note 2, and the camera interface is the Nature UX one. Things like zero shutter lag and per shot when you keep the on-screen button pressed. Comes standard, plus this thing is almost instantaneous when it comes to focusing and taking a shot. We have 12 effects to choose from for your pictures and video, and a variety of scene and shooting modes like HDR best photo, which takes 8 frames in rapid succession and then suggests the best one. Same with best faces, panorama, face detection, and this new low light mode here we have on the Galaxy Note 2. The pictures turned out very good, sharp with plenty of detail and decent dynamic range. The colors are a bit saturated, which makes them more appealing at first brush. Moreover, noise is kept in check very well without resorting to aggressive suppression algorithms to smear the detail. Video capture on the Note 2 is done with very fluid 30 frames per second inside and out, and it features slightly boosted color saturation as well, plus plenty of detail to go around. You can digitally zoom while filming, which we don't recommend since it degrades the quality significantly the more you zoom in, and there is continuous autofocus and touch to focus too. The captured audio, however, is strong but pretty coarse and flat, and voices drown in the ambient sounds despite the 2 mix for noise cancellation. If you're eyeing a Galaxy Note 2 for purchase, you're probably familiar with the downsides that come with its size and are willing to sacrifice pocket comfort and one-handed operation for its sweet screen real estate, so the size can't really be held against it. It is not that much more compact compared to the original, and it could hardly be considering we have an even larger display now. That screen alone, however, is worth the upgrade. It is the best phone screen Samsung has ever produced, and it addresses all weak points of Super AMOLED displays so far in one fell swoop. The 24% increase in battery size alone is worth the upgrade too, as it brings top-notch endurance to the handset, and it's also user replaceable, the battery unit. Or if you're buying a Note for the fact that it sports a stylus silo, you'd be happy to know that the S Pen is much more improved now, with much more natural ink flow and a couple of new tricks like this here, Air View and pop-up note, which allows you to take quick notes while on a call with someone. These three in aggregate make the Note 2 worth it, both for those that are upgrading from the original and for first-time buyers. When we throw in the very good pictures and video capture, the excellent loudspeaker, the good call quality, and the expandable memory, that subpar audio capture when recording video becomes just a small fly in a big bucket of honey. And we also have the latest Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with Google Voice and Google Now. There is not much competition to go around in this phone category, but the LG Intuition and the first Note, of course. The advantages before the original Note are apparent. As far as money is not a problem, since the Note 2 will come more expensive, Regarding the LG Intuition, its stylus is an extra that you have to carry with you at all times. It is stuck with Android ICS for now, and the squarish form factor makes it even more unwieldy to handle than the Note 2. This was a video review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 from Phone Arena. For more information about this and other handsets, you can visit us at phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.